Shalom, peace, and blessings. Welcome to the Fourth Angels Learning Center. Today is a Patreon Q&A. We're answering questions for our Patreon members. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have not yet joined the Patreon, please consider joining and supporting the ministry at patreon.com/4ALC7. It's patreon.com/4ALC7. All right, so today's question is a two-part question of trying to figure out whether something originated in the New Testament or the Old Testament. This is a matter of harmonizing the two sections of what people call Old and New Testaments. We're going to harmonize, showing that it's one book, okay? One concept flowing through all the pages. All right, so the question is, does the virgin birth originate in the New Testament? Is it from the Old Testament? And we're going to talk about a few things about miracles and the miraculous situation that did occur. All right, so let's get right to it. The idea of the virgin birth comes from Isaiah chapter 7. So let's take a look at that. Isaiah chapter 7, I believe is verse 14. Look at what it says here in verse 14, right? And I'm going to show you a few of the conflicts that many people have pertaining to this verse. It says, therefore, yahuah himself shall give you a sign. It says, behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, shall call his name Emmanuel, right? So this is kind of the idea, the term virgin. Now, many people would say, which I'm going to show you the different version. Let's go to the Sefer. And it says here, a virgin. Let's go to the TS. And it says, Alma, which many people have an issue with. The word Alma is implying virgin or a young woman. If it is talking about a young woman of Israel, which I believe it is, the idea of a young woman being pure sexually is implied. She is the daughter of Israel. She is, following the precepts and the principles of Yah. She is under the authority of her father at this point. So the sign of a young woman having a son is not a sign if it's just a woman having a son. Let me explain. Israelites had children, and they got married young, 20s. Young maidens were referred to around that age, marriageable age, age of that they would get married in, and they're having children. Just think about this whole community where bearing children to prolong the name of the husband, the name of the fathers, also prolonging the life of the nation. All of this stuff was a concept that was necessary. It was necessary for a young maiden to get married and bear children. How would that just be a sign? How would that be a sign? And from where? Which maiden that's married that has a child would you say, oh, that's a sign if multiple women have children frequently? 10, 12 children. You see what I'm saying? The concept of just a woman having a child wouldn't necessarily be a sign, but a young maiden who is unmarried and untouched is different. So let me show you. The miracle of a maiden or a virgin having a child is not different from a barren woman having children. I want us to understand this because many times we separate these concepts, and that's why people are looking for a virgin birth in the Old Testament. The reason why that's a trap is because the same power of miracle that occurs in a virgin birth is the same power miracle that occurs in a barren woman's womb. For instance, you have Sarah unable to have children, unable. So if she's unable to have children, a miracle must occur in order for her to bear children, right? Hannah, Samuel's mother, unable to have children, barren, right? Rachel, unable to have children, and then she was able to have children. Many people don't really look at that as if she was barren, but she was not having children. She was not able to have children at the moment, but then she was. So the idea that Yah is miraculously helping these women to bear children because they have to be renewed, especially the older women like Sarah. She was older. Hebrews chapter 11 talks about the deadness of her womb. The deadness of her womb, she would need a miracle to make the deadness of her womb alive. This was very important. This is a very important concept, I'm telling you, because the virgin birth is not separate from the miraculous barren woman becoming pregnant. It's the same concept, it's the same power, it's the same strength. Not only that, but during the miraculous virgin birth, there was also a correlation between a barren woman and her. It was her cousin Elizabeth, which was barren. So I want to point these things out. Let's go to this concept in the book of Luke, right? Just to see that when you look in the Old Testament, you're going to find the miraculous births of many barren women. So in the New Testament, I want to definitely show you the miraculous birth of John the Baptist, which is through Elizabeth, right? Look at what it says here in verse 7 of Luke chapter 1. They had no child because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now stricken in years. So this is why they didn't have a child. Now the angel appeared in verse 11, the angel of yahuah standing at the right side of the altar of incense. Zacharias saw him and he was troubled. He fell upon him. Let's right here. So the angel said to him, "Fear not, Zacharias, for your prayer is heard. Your wife Elizabeth shall bear you a son, and you shall be called in his name John." So you see this? A barren woman is going to have a miraculous birth and have a son, and that's going to be John. Let's go down. Let's fast forward to Mary. Now watch what happens here when she's told that she's going to conceive. The angel said to Mary, "Fear not, Mary, for you have found favor with Elohim. Behold, you shall conceive in your womb and bring forth, and you shall call his name Yahushua. He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Master Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David." Now, look at this description. "He shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom shall have no end." Mary said to the angel, "How will this be, seeing that I never knew a man? I was never with a man." Now, look at what the angel correlates a virgin birth with. The angel answered and said unto her, "The set apart spirit shall come upon you. The power of the highest shall overshadow you. Therefore, that holy thing that shall be born of you shall be called the Son of Elohim." Look at what it says. "Behold, your cousin Elizabeth, she also conceives a son in her old age. This is the 6th month of her pregnancy, who was called barren. For with Elohim, nothing is impossible." Right? He's correlating a woman that never knew a man to bear a son with a woman who is barren bearing a son, and said, as a concept that we need to understand in general, that with Elohim, nothing shall be impossible. So we see here that the concept of a virgin birth is correlated with the concept of a barren woman's birth in Luke, right? Not because there is the same exact situation, but because it's the same exact power. It's the same exact Elohim that has to work something impossible to be possible. So the idea that we keep separating virgin birth from Yah's ability to do these things, the concept of a woman having a child wouldn't be a sign. But the idea of a woman who never knew a man having a child, it would be an indicator of something. Or a woman who is barren having a child would be an indicator of something miraculous, not just a woman having a child. So this is why the idea of trying to search for a virgin birth in the Old Testament doesn't make any sense, because it's the same power that was needed to help Sarah and to help, all of these different women in the scriptures, the same power that needed to help Mary. Even when her cousin was barren, Elizabeth, she was helped by the same power that was bestowed upon Mary to bear a son while she never knew a man. So we ought not to look for a virgin birth in the Old Testament, but a miraculous, impossible birth that was done in the Old Testament. And we could definitely find many examples of that. The second question, which is correlating to the New Testament thing, is I'm gonna just leave it like that. I hope that this was clear. This answered the question. And feel free to send us more questions. We're gonna harmonize the Old and New Testament as much as we can. Send those questions. We definitely appreciate that. Shalom. Don't forget to join the Patreon if you haven't already. Praise Yah. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Thank you guys for joining our study today. I hope that it was edifying. And if you want to support this ministry, you can support us on 4alc.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube page. Click the like button and the notification bell. I hope to see you guys on the next study. Shalom, guys.